the common complaints that children make when they're asked to do a chore is it's not fair. I mean, they usually express this grumble because they feel that they do more chores than the other children. As a parent, I'm always tempted to say to my children when this happens, Mum and I do all the washing. Like, we do all the drying, we do all the folding, we do all the cooking, and all we ask is you to empty and stack the dishwasher. We're not asking a lot of you, considering how much we do for you. On Monday, we began thinking about the topic of forgiveness and the challenge I think it is to forgive someone, even though we expect people to forgive us quickly. On Wednesday, we worked through the parable of the unforgiving servant and the idea that a servant was forgiven his debt because he pleaded for mercy, and yet that same servant was not willing to forgive the debt that was owed to him. Well, today we'll continue that same idea by focusing on the debt that we've been forgiven compared to the debt that we should forgive. We'll pick up the parable having just read about this first servant not forgiving the second servant. Matthew 18:31. When the other servants saw what had taken place, they were deeply distressed and went and reported to their master everything that had happened. Then, after he had summoned him, his master said to him, "You wicked servant, I forgave you all that debt because you begged me. Shouldn't you also have mercy on your fellow servant, as I had mercy on you?" And because he was angry, his master handed him over to the jailers to be tortured until he could pay back everything that was owed. So also my heavenly Father will do to you unless every one of you forgives his brother or sister from the heart. Now, in the parable, the debt that is owed in all cases is a financial debt. But Jesus is speaking broader than simply the topic of finances, because this is a parable, as we saw on Monday, that began with Peter asking Jesus about forgiveness. Okay, this is a parable about forgiveness, and so whether it's a financial or personal or physical, we are being asked to consider the level of forgiveness that we are willing to offer others. Okay, now in this parable, it's hard not to connect the king who forgives a lot and the servant who won't forgive with God who forgives a lot and the people of God who may be reluctant to forgive. Now I want you to stop for a moment and consider the level of forgiveness that God has shown you. Okay, consider the 10 Commandments and Jesus' summary of the commandments with the 2 commandments: to love God with heart, soul, mind and strength, and to love your neighbour as yourself. Okay, and ask yourself, how often do you break these commandments every single day? Okay, on a daily basis, how often do you sin? Okay, let's say on average you sin 10 times a day. Okay, that works out to be 3,560 sins per year, and in an 80-year life, that's 284,800 sins. Okay, 284,800. Okay, it's fair to say that the level of forgiveness that you've been shown is enormous. Do you struggle to forgive others? And when people say bad things about you, when people embarrass you or upset you, when people harm you or cause grief, how long does it take you to forgive? Do you forgive? And this is a hard word from Jesus, because we find it hard to forgive when it affects us. And yet the one who speaks this hard word is the one who will take the punishment for your 284,800 sins on himself. Okay, it's a hard word, but a necessary word to his followers, who are very clearly told that the level of forgiveness we receive from God should motivate us to readily and continually forgive others. And so, friends, why don't you take a couple of minutes to pray and ask God to soften your heart so that you will see forgiveness as a central part of your faith in Jesus.